Hello YouTube, VG Time back with another deck profile, this time for the set 1 Broly leader. This is a fan favorite leader, one that still has a loyal following to this day. So let's get into the leader. He has a permanent that does not allow him to attack battle cards. Because that is the case, that greatly decreases his power. But honestly, if he was allowed to attack battle cards with the rest of his effects, it would actually been quite overpowered. So he has an auto that when he attacks, each player discards a card. And then he awakens at 4 life. You could draw 2 cards and flip them over. On the backside, he becomes Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan. He has the same permanent where he can't attack battle cards. And his auto this time allows you to draw a card on attack, and then each player discards a card and sends one of the cards from the field to the drop area. This does not KO the card, so it gets around KO effects. It also gets around cards that cannot be KO'd by the opponent card effects. Now, to help you to make it so that his effects are not drawbacks to you, to help mitigate his effects, the main one being Broly's Ring. Broly's Ring is a field extra card that when you have it out there, you do not discard cards due to your Broly leader's card effect. So that means that when you swing at your opponent discards a card, you discard nothing. And that helps out quite a bit to keep your hand parity good. Then to make sure that you don't lose anything on the table, you have 4 copies of Paragus Quelling the Beast. This guy's permanent has got errata. They errata him to only care about your leader card effects. So that means that if you had cards that needed to pop other cards in order to do something on the table that wasn't the leader, you can now do it with this Paragus out there. And when you play him, you draw a card, so he replaces himself. Good card. So now we're going to get into the Brolys. Our searcher I'm using for the deck is 2 copies of Broly Dawn of the Rampage. I'm only playing them at 2 because you only really want to see him if you don't open your key piece. So it basically makes it so that your key piece has 6 copies in the deck. I don't really want to run them at 4 because I think it'll get cloggy. 3 might be reasonable, but I don't really want to run them at 4. The first big card printed that made this deck even viable is 4 copies of SS3 Broly Saiyan Berserker. He was the Infinite Saiyan rare that was printed for green. Unlike the other Infinite Saiyan rares, he is literally only playable in this one deck. So he has a permanent that if you have a non-mono green card in a visible area, that being like your drop area, your energy, your field, or your warp, you can't play him from your hand. There's might be games where you don't just don't get to play him. That doesn't really matter because the other effect is an auto, where if he is sent to the drop area due to your leader's skill, you are able to take up to 2 life and add him to your hand, and then activate a Broly's Ring directly from your deck. So what you really want to do is have him open or search him out, use the Broly effect to drop him to the graveyard, and then get that much closer to awakening. Then he has an activate main where you can pay 4, send the Broly's Ring to the drop area, play him, and then you can play a Broly with cost 7 or less from your deck into play. The card you're typically searching out to go with him due to that effect is 3 copies of Broly Supreme Berserker. This guy is 30k with critical. He has an evolve for 3 and double green on top of a Broly. And he has a burst 5 effect that when he attacks, you could choose to burst those cards. And depending on how many cards your opponent has in their hand, he has 2 different effects. If they have 3 or less cards in their hand, he restands. And then if they have 4 or more cards in their hand, you get to look at their hand, choose a card from it, and put it into the drop area. To help make his evolution a little bit more reasonable, we played 4 copies of Endless Evolution Broly. When you play him, your opponent chooses one of their battle cards and sends it to the drop area. And he has a permanent where he reduces the evolution cost of the Broly that is being evolved on top of him by 2. But another card that we're going to take advantage of that reduction of evolution for is 2 copies of Deathless Warrior Broly. He evolves for triple green on top of a Broly, so on top of the 3 drop he only costs 1. And in the case of the 7 drop, on top of that 3 drop it only costs 3. So when he comes into play, your opponent chooses a battle card, KOs it. If they are not capable of KOing the card, let's say they have only barrier cards out there or no battle cards at all, then they have to discard 2 cards at random from their hand. So either way, you're getting an amazing effect off this guy. That's it for the Broly's. Next up, we have 4 copies of Newfound Power Son Gohan. This is your other self-awakening in the deck, along with the 8-drop Infinite Saiyan Rare. This is usually what you want to play on turn 1. So you play him, you swing, you take a life, he becomes 15k in critical. So you get to strip cards away from your opponent on top of what your leader effect is doing. Between this card plus the Infinite Saiyan Rare, it's very possible to be awoke on turn 2. In which case, you're already way ahead of the game. Then I put this engine in here. I kept it because I actually am a huge fan of it, which is 4 copies of Son Gohan Display of Strength. He has an auto that when you play him, you draw 2 cards, and the activate main that if your leader is green, you get to play the 7-drop right here, Piercing Super Saiyan 2 Son Gohan on top of him. Now this 7-drop Son Gohan is absolutely nuts. Before the counterplays became too prevalent, I was blowing people out of the games with him just from that 2-card combination. He evolves for 4 and double green on top of Son Gohan Childhood, but because of that 4-drop, he has actually usually just played on top of that one for free. When you play him, or when your opponent combos, they choose all the battle cards would cost 3 or less, and they send it to the drop area from the field and from the combo area. So when you play him, he's a board wipe, and then as they combo, it becomes extremely hard for them to combo. And that effect is a lingering effect that lasts for the entire turn, so even if they get rid of him, they're still under the effects of that skill until their next turn come around. Then I play 2 copies of Awakened Warrior Bardock. He is your free overwhelm in the deck. You want to actually hold on to him until you're actually going for game because of the Infinite Saiyan Rare. So if you happen to put this guy out there early, it'll shut off that card's ability to play itself and to be able to bring out another card. So you want to make sure that you're actually going for game when you play this. One of the new cards that were added from Draft Box 5, we played 2 copies of Ribrianne Punishing Passion. She has an effect in the drop area. You can pay double green, remove her in the drop area, and your opponent discards 2 cards, which goes along with the hand control that Broly is trying to do. Then we play 3 copies of Cell's Earth Destroying Kamehameha. This is a cool defensive card. It allows you to give your leader or your green battle card plus 15k, and if all of your energy is green, you could choose 1 card from your opponent's hand and make them discard it. So basically you make them randomly discard 1 card from their hand. We have our super combo of choice, which is Defending Father Paragus. He is still the best green super combo if you're not playing a multicolored deck. Any other choice besides maybe Saiyan and the Namekians is kind of pointless. You gotta spring for the Paraguses. Then, because we're green, of course we play 4 copies of Shocking Death Ball. This is your Sparking Negate. You take a life if you have 5 cards in your drop area instead of paying its cost. And when you negate with this, you could choose a 2-drop or less and KO it. And then last but not least, we play 2 copies of Hidden Power of the Saiyans as our counterplay of choice. You can also run the other one in green that stops 4 or less. But this card right here could stop a card of any size, and if they choose to play the card anyway, then they have to choose 2 cards when they hand discard it. Because you're playing such heavy hand control, there's a really good possibility that they won't have that choice whatsoever. And this could hit any side, so it keeps them from playing like some of the bigger bombs unless it has deflect. So I hope you enjoyed the deck profile. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time.